Once upon a time, Polly ran frantically through the dark forest of fear and doubt until one day she slowed down enough to notice the trees were beautiful. The more she noticed the trees, the less she saw the darkness. She discovered she was in an olive grove rather than a forest. This is when she uncovered her magic truth. Polly's purpose is to shine in every way. Welcome to her manifesting success story.
Hello, and welcome to this episode. I am your host, Cassie Parks, and I am back with Paulie for another chapter in her manifesting success story. Welcome, Paulie.
Hooray! Thank you so much for having me back. What number is this podcast? Episode for me? It's like, I think
Definitely
it was
in the teens.
15 or 16 now. Yeah.
Yes.
I'm almost like a young adult. Like I'm in my teenage
Yes.
phase with you. Yeah.
Yeah, I love that. And so what does it feel like to be in the young adult or the teenage phase?
I wish I felt this way as a young adult or teenager because I feel the most me that I've ever felt before, in so many ways. And I think it's not a coincidence that, as I told you earlier, that I just had my 10-year anniversary of living in New York.
Mm-hmm.
And I've been with you for over 5 years now. So I don't know. Everything is coming into place, it feels like, in so many ways. But the best part is feeling this amount of knowingness and trust,
Yes.
because of all the work we've done together. So it feels good. It feels good. It feels like I'm going to be a really great adult. I feel like
Yes.
I'm like in preparing, I'm like, studying for the SATs right now of life, but I think I'm going to ace it this time.
Yay. I love that. So what would you call this chapter of your manifesting success story?
I feel like this chapter, if we're going to stay like school oriented, which feels right, I think it's the like first semester senior year, like second semester junior year, first semester senior year, where everything counts, like everything that we've been going to high school for, and is like preparing you to, if you want to go to the Ivy Leagues, this is where it really happens. This is the time in school. And I feel like I am going to the Ivy Leagues now. Like that's where I'm headed. That's where I'm supposed to be, in the Ivy League placement of life.
Yes. I love it. Amazing. What's been your biggest aha or deepening of your understanding of the law of attraction in the last few months?
Well, I feel that the biggest aha is understanding what like the consistency of the work is, because you were very, very serious with me about being accountable to do my assignments, because I think it took me like a very long time to complete Manifest 10K. And I'd been with you for 5 years at that point already, I think. And so I feel like I already, like I'd done it. I felt like a little bit of a slacker. Like I've done this so many times. I've done it. Why, how different can it possibly be? And that's why I kind of felt like I knew it all, which obviously like there's always work to be done. But because you were really serious about me and my accountability of doing the assignments, because I think I do like one assignment, like if I was, being good, like one assignment every 2 or 3 weeks was kind of my like my record. But then I said, okay, I'm going to commit to doing 5 assignments a week. And no matter what, I'm going to do 5 assignments a week. And I think I want to say maybe 3 months. I don't know. It's been a while. Like I never counted how many weeks it's been, but I've been doing it consistently. And it makes sense, that like you always talk about the work is about going deeper and wider. And I really feel that this is because it's the most committed I've ever been to the work. It's the most things have been happening. And I know we don't do it to make things happen, but we do it to become that person. And that's why things are happening. So a lot of like loose ends are starting to make a lot more sense to me. And I see them coming together. So it's been wonderful.
Yes, it's amazing. And I think it's interesting because Well, we tend to get in that, right? Like, oh, I know this, but it is about doing it, right? And it's about showing up and giving that space for manifesting, which is interesting because you would always show up for your one-on-ones, but I think those were, and they had definitely become about howing it in some ways.
Right.
Versus because you weren't giving that space to the manifesting work, you were trying to how a lot more in your mind and trying to figure out things, and everything was about how to do this. And a lot of that has subsided.
Yeah.
I would say your questions are incredibly different, and the way that we can the space that's available on in your one-on-ones is hugely different, because we're not trying to navigate hows, or I'm not trying to bring you out of the how consistently, because when you invest in the work, you naturally lower your desire to go for the how, because you're tapped into what's happening and it's working, and you're investing that energy, and it builds that trust that it's happening. Like, I'm investing energy, I'm going to get energy out.
Right. And it's so much in the little things. It's not in the giant, huge, the big things that we want, right? It's in the little tiny things. And we worked so hard on my evidence list, right? And I couldn't get past it for I think it was over 2 months. I was missing one piece, right?
Yes. And then, tell us the whole story. Yeah.
Okay. So one of them was hearing the olive tree, right? I wanted to hear about olive tree, and it couldn't just be see olive tree or read olive. I had to hear it.
Because you had written that down, right? And we were
right. And I just did it on a whim. It was just, which I guess was inspiration, and it was perfect the way it worked out. But I wrote down seeing standing ovations, the big names on a marquee, hearing about olive trees, hearing about power couples, that was, getting roses or a bouquet of flowers, getting something for doing nothing, So all those happened really quickly, but the freaking olive tree, just was never, ever to be heard. I mean, but while that was happening, I saw olives everywhere, and I saw Olive Street, and I saw a bunch of Italian restaurants with the word olive in it. And I heard the word olive in many different languages, but just hearing olive tree it was not happening. So I was am I doing something wrong, or am I manifesting not listening to it? And that's where the work was just to be present and trust that it will, I will hear about an olive tree. And I was resisting so much that I wasn't going to hear it, because I didn't think that's just, I had predisposed myself to not hear it. But then that was where we talked about just trust it, let go. And I don't have to keep intending I'm going to hear it. It's just a matter of being present, And then of course, what was really cool is that I kept seeing standing ovations, and I kept hearing about power couples, and I kept getting flowers, and I kept getting something for nothing. Everything just got, again, deeper and wider. And then when I finally heard olive tree, it was I felt like it was my birthday. The universe was here you go, And it was, I got to be with my mom. She had no idea that olive tree meant anything to me, but it was a really nice, sweet. We were watching an Italian movie, and the guy said olive tree in Italian, which was really nice.
Yes.
But it was just a really lovely. I think that was a turning point for me, was getting so stuck and feeling so stuck and frustrated. And then I would ask you, why isn't it happening? How do I hear, how do I hear olive trees? And there was nothing to do other than to just be present and continue seeing the evidence, and continue to just, I had a script for 20 minutes. For every day I hadn't heard the whole list of evidence, I had a script. So I had a consistent 2 months of scripting at 20 minutes, And that was a gift, because I feel this is the best scripting I've ever done, and I feel your comments on my script are things that I wouldn't have been really open to, that, but I understand now why, I love the note that when we say, I feel grateful that blah, 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 I would put, I feel grateful that I speak Italian, French, German, or I feel grateful that I'm sought after, or I feel grateful that everyone wants to come see, it was a lot of stuff was like outside of me. And you gave me the notes that like, I feel grateful, let it come from something from within, like that I am worthy, or that I am happy, or that I am like that it comes from me versus expecting something from the outside world. And that I think was another game changer for me, that it always comes from within versus expecting something to come outside inward. So that was a long answer, but it was doing the work consistently has been like just a cascade of benefits of just and also like my questions now I've noticed on our one-on-one are more like how do I feel the feelings? Like if it's a how, it's like how to become more present, or like how it's more about the becoming than it is like how do I get the Oscar? How do I get the part? How do I get this? How do I do,
Yes.
And that's been really wonderful too.
Yeah. Yeah. And I would even add to that, it's a lot more about how to live your life deeper.
Yes.
So how to take relationships deeper or other things deeper than it is like the getting the things, right?
Right. Yes. And I remember one of my questions was, how does one become more respected? Things like that versus how do I, get discovered on the street? Things like that. Yeah.
Yeah.
And that was a really, again, I don't know how you are so in tune with like all these wonderful answers, but it's just such a gift.
That's awesome. Yeah. I want to touch on this for listeners a little bit about the olive tree, because you did. So for listeners, there's after you take your future self workshop, we do like a pre-evidence list, and then your intention is to really hone in and see and hear and whatever you put on the list, right? Whether it's get flowers. So get flowers doesn't mean see flowers. It means receive flowers, right? And if it's, see a red bird, it's see a red bird. If it's here, olive tree, it's here, right? Yeah. And there were moments you're like, well, I've seen it. I saw it on the olive. I've seen
so many. Yeah.
Right. You're like, I see it everywhere. Can I just count that? Right. And so often I think when it comes to manifesting, like this is just evidence, but people do this with manifesting. Oh, like I'll just count that I got that, or they want to change it. Right. I said here, but I'll settle for see it. Instead of holding the space wide open, being consistent with the work, and then getting what they really wanted. And it was like such a joyous celebration when you heard olive tree, like it was just, you're like, I heard it. Oh my gosh.
Yeah, it was. I was so happy. I got chills when you just made that point, because it is about, are you going to settle? Is it good enough? Like, do you want good enough, or do you want it? And that was huge, because I want it. I don't want the thing adjacent, I want the thing. And that made so much sense. So that when I heard olive tree, it felt like I got it. I told the universe, like, I want it's like a bullseye, that's what I want. I don't want the points that don't count or as much, So I'm happy you brought that up.
Yeah. It's amazing. And it's worth the wait, and it's worth investing in the work, in that consistency of the work, instead of jumping from thing to thing or settling or be like, oh, okay, I'll count that, but I'm going to intend something else that I'm not going to leave the space for, right? It was such a metaphor for all of manifesting.
Oh, it was amazing. I did not expect it to be as deep as it was, because I was like, oh, come on, let's just get to the next one already. But I had to stop and slow down and just script for 20 minutes. And I don't think I'd ever been so dedicated to a script before, as having to, really, really just say no to the universe if I just saw olive trees, versus just, and then say yes, like receive a giant, a resounding sound of hearing an olive tree.
Yeah. Because of that dedication to that script and that being in it so often, what's changed or what's different about it? I think you touched on this a little bit, but I want to ask it again. What feels different? How do you feel different when you're scripting because of that consistency and dedication?
I feel the ownership of the script is deeper than it's ever been. So, and I remember wanting to get to, like, this is like a day in the life of getting to perform a dream role, opening night of a dream role. And so I wanted to wake up in the morning and like have breakfast really quickly and then get to the theater and like the standing ovation for me. Right. And so that's how it started, was like as quickly as possible, get through the 20 minutes to get to like on stage, which is, typically in the evening.
Right.
And you're like, stop, slow down. That is happening anyway. Just, go slow down and go moment to moment of your day. So at this point, I barely get through breakfast, when I script, because and the joy really is in living and being slow with it in every moment. Like waking up, I get to see my brick covered in ivy and relishing, and like it really is like quality over quantity. So really relishing the moment of waking up and seeing my ivy brick beautiful New York City home, and knowing that means like everything else is happening. It's already happened. So I think so now when I see brick covered in ivy, I feel the ownership of what's happening even more. So it just feels like, have you ever had those like, I hope this isn't an awful metaphor, but they have like ice cream that has like, it's like sugar-free, dairy-free. Like it's a, I think it's called like Wink or something. And you're like, oh wow, this is 5 calories and a whole pint, but it's awful. Right.
Yeah.
It's like, there's nothing there. It's like kind of like a little bit of flavored ice. It's like, I feel like that's kind of what my scripting was like, kind of flavorless. But now I feel like my script is like, even from moment to moment, it feels like just like a molten lava chocolate cake. Like hasn't been refrigerated. It was just made by a Michelin star rated, chef. It just feels like, delicious, and you can taste it and you can feel it, and it's like full of calories, and just, it feels like that more.
Yes.
And bigger and better, and just like spongy and delicious.
Yes. Oh, yeah. I love that metaphor. Yeah. And that's like it's the difference in the richness that it ripples out into your life, which is what you're saying when you're seeing ivy and stuff, right? So when you're less present in your script, or more about this as we begin and we evolve to a deeper place, but that 5-calorie thing, like that's what ripples into your life. And so it's not super great, right? Because it's not impacting your life. But when we learn this depth and you have this consistency and you have that ownership of your script, and you're really able to take in all the things that I'm saying, the notes, and go in that depth in your script, you're getting to live with that molten chocolate cake. Like that's your life. Every bite becomes that luscious molten chocolate cake.
Oh, I love that word. Yeah, luscious.
Yeah.
Yes. It's like, because if it's like it's good enough. Like you get kind of some sweetness, but it's, you don't look forward to it. But yeah, having this huge, delicious cake for you is just the best. It really feels, and I feel like it helps me not stay out of stories. Like, so easily, like when I was kind of dipping my feet in and surfaced, it was like, but I'm already this age, and and like how, my head was that, versus, and feels so much better to just like go all in with a moment. And then that helps me stay, getting to, again, the ownership, but also like be really aware of the story, and of calling bullshit, and of still, we talked about like I still feel sad, but that it's, of course, like feel the sadness, because I was getting sad and feeling even more sad because I was judging the sadness. But you said, I loved it. It's like the train is the feeling, right? And it's like the feeling's going really, really fast. I can't just stop the train of feeling and then like derail and kill everyone, right? I have to just slow down, like, and feel all the feelings, so that can pick up speed and momentum in the way I want it to. That was really nice. Yeah.
Awesome. What inspirations have popped up that you've followed in the last, or inspired action you've taken in the last 3 months?
Oh, so many little tiny ones. Like I always call it inspiration. It's always like inspiration in the, don't forget to, like, don't forget your keys. Or I'm like, oh yeah, almost forgot the keys. Oh, don't forget to sign up for ballet. It's like little whispers. Like it almost seems like it's just my own muscle memory. But even that I call I call everything is inspiration. And the other, like, and it's always tiny little ones of, oh yeah, wear that today. And it doesn't matter. Like, no, even if no one compliments me, I always consider everything inspiration. And I feel like that has led to allowing big hits of inspiration. Like waking up one day and saying, move to London, and that's been a huge inspiration. And I don't know how it's going to happen, but it's funny because I told a friend of mine, and he's like, oh, like the LinkedIn god. And he's like, do this on LinkedIn. I was like, okay. So I did something on LinkedIn, and that made the producer of the play message me and say, contracts, like, we got the okay for the theater. The play's happening 2023. So it's like, I don't know if I'm going to move to London. I hope I am. I'd love to. I'm sure I will at one point, but it's like that caused this to happen, then that happened, and then because of that, I got the message of the producer that the play's happening. Get ready, that it's going to happen in 2023. So it's little things like that. But I consider everything inspiration now.
Yes, yay, I love it, and it is so true. It's very often like maybe London, maybe not, right? But it's leading, because inspiration isn't a plan. It's just the next step. And it's the next.
I hadn't gotten that.
Right? Yeah.
Yeah. I didn't understand that until recently, that it's like inspiration isn't like what's, the big thing. It's the next moment. That's I think that's why I decided that, like, everything that helps me or that feels good is inspiration, even if it's not like, a lot like a woman whispering, in my ear. It is inspiration, because it does come from somewhere that leads me to the next place that I want to be.
Yeah. Would you say that it's quieter in your head and you're more able to hear those now?
Yes, absolutely. Absolutely. I think it's, how would I say, it is, I think it's, it's interesting. Yeah, quieter would be nice. It is a nice thing. And I think I know when it feels like I'm getting really good at being like, bullshit, like, that's not true, because that's still there. But it's almost like that part is listening more to me. Like okay, sorry, sorry, boss, won't go there again. So yeah, definitely quieter. And also more discerning. Like I feel more, I guess, ownership with that too, with my own thoughts.
Ooh, say more.
Well, because I've been working with you for like, I feel sad, or this happened, blah, when's it going to happen? You and I've been working on, like, when that happens, instead, my old pattern was to be like, no, I'm an amazing, I'm the best actress. And no, like, I would just kind of like pound it on top, like affirmations, like, no, everything happens at its time. Like, I'm a money magnet, just like everything on top of it. So it's just like, this is an awful metaphor, but my boyfriend Luke, like, he hates the smell of like potpourri or like anything, because he's like, it just smells like poop and perfume. Like, it's, he's like, he hates that smell. And I feel like that's kind of how my thoughts were. It's like poop and perfume, like the affirmations are like covering the poop, instead of just like, let it smell like poop. This is horrible, but like, let it smell like shit. And then just like, literally, you said, like, call bullshit, like, just call bullshit and stop. Don't don't perfume spray anything on it. Just let it be, and go live, do something that feels good. So because we've been doing that and you've held me accountable for that, now I know it's like getting easier to not just call bullshit, but I'm calling bullshit less, and getting better at just moment to moment, like deciding who I want to be. Like, I want, and being calm. I think that's something that I've worked on too, is like being calm. And to me, being calm is like just breathing, and I'm like feeling the floor, or, touching something, and like being conscious of the tactile, the feelings. And that's something you told me to do as well.
Yes.
Yeah.
I love it. Amazing. We talked about it's happening, like you've gotten calls for plays. You had an amazing audition this morning, which I'm intending we talk about in the future. We've talked about, is there anything else you've grown through that you want to share?
I think so much. I think I feel growth every week, from in terms of getting to choose who I want to be. Like, I feel like I have more command over that. Like, I have more, I guess this is the theme right now. It's like ownership, right? Of who I want to be. I feel growth, like in like being kind to other people. And the assignments help me do that, speaking of inspiration, one of the assignments was to like script for 5 minutes and then sit for 15 or so and like just allow inspiration. And so I always like intend a subway seat, no matter how busy it is, and have a pretty great track record. It's kind of like parking spots. I don't have a car, but I get to park my butt. Yeah.
It's the New York version, right?
It's the New York version. Yeah. Yeah. And so there was like, I saw a really busy subway. I'm like, that's okay, I'm going to get a seat. And there was one subway cart that was empty, which either you're really lucky or like it means like there's a homeless person that's like kind of stinking up the whole subway train. But it was okay. So I go in, and there was like this homeless kid sitting like opposite from me. And I had done my scripting, and I was just sitting there, like allowing inspiration to come. And I heard this feeling came over me that whatever cash I had in my pocket or in my purse, to give it to the sleeping kid. And so I saw I had a $20 bill, and I was like, wow, okay, I guess this is it. And then I thought it would be so cool for this kid to wake up with $20 on his lap. And that, because we talk about how like things fall in my lap all the time. And I thought it would be so cool to have that happen to somebody else, and that he'll never know who it was. But that I hope, and I was, wishing him health and just happy, everything that I could. That's kind of what my inspiration was saying. It's like, just shower him with like possibilities, the way that I've gotten lucky and working like with possibilities. So that was, and then I just left. It got busier and busier. And then I was like, oh, I can't do it. There's people watching. But then I just put it on his lap and left. And it felt really good to do that. But in terms of growth, your question, I think in generosity and trust, like that, I can give $20 away easily because I am always taken care of. Yeah. And I got handed a $20 once.
Yes.
Yeah. So it always, I think that kind of trust has been growing even more and more.
Amazing. Yeah. Anything else you want to share on your heart or your mind as we wrap up this episode?
That I promise to keep doing my assignments 5 times a week. Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. It feels really good.
Good. I love that. And it's proof, right? It's really making this 20-minute investment a day, 5 times a week, which is less than 2 hours a week, can have a significant impact and shift on your life.
Yeah. And it helps. It feels good to slow down.
Yes. Yay. Yeah. Awesome. Well, thank you, Paulie, for sharing this chapter of your manifesting success story with us.
Thank you for having me, Cassie.
Of course. And thank you all for joining us. Make sure to come back and check out what else is awesome in Paulie's life next time.
The telling of stories is so powerful, both to the person telling it and the person receiving it. Since 30,000 BC, we as humans have told stories to teach and guide. And now we, with Manifesting Success Stories, hope to inspire you to what is possible in your own life. If you want more manifesting success, go to moremanifestingsuccess.com, where you'll find links to anything we've talked about on the show. Thank you for joining us today. And remember, you have the power to write your own happy ever after.